My name is B. Durazzo, also known as Benjamin Daniel Durazzo. Well, honestly, I was always intrigued by where the samples came from. I didn't really realize at first that it came off of records and that they were sampling. I was just like, what's that crispy sort of scratchy, what is it, that hissy sound in the background, the crackle of the needle, and it just always made me like really intrigued. Well, I remember way back in the day, like in elementary school, listening to the radio, and it would go on to 94.9, back when it was Wild 107, and there was just some mainstream track back in like 97 where I was like, oh, what's that? My parents were like, oh, you don't need to listen to that. But yeah, when I first started really getting into hip hop, I was probably in middle school, and it was like the old Rhyme Sayers, Atmosphere stuff, and Definitive Jux, and all those like late 90s, early 2000s indie do-it-yourself label type startups. But that's what really inspired me. Well, this whole beat scene emerging, this was the low-end theory that started out of LA and all the things that have sprung up out of that, just where it put the producer in the forefront, letting them get their shine on. Where usually, if they even get a chance to be on stage, they're usually DJing and throughout the history of hip hop. So yeah, lately the beat scene stuff has inspired me to believe that I can do this on my own without necessarily relying on an MC. There's so many really dope artists coming out that are just known for their beats, and it's inspiring. It's also sort of intimidating because there's so much competition. It's boring to watch a producer go up there and just kind of hit a space bar and let his beat play and sort of pretend like he's doing stuff with filters. So I sort of wanted to go out there and make a performance for the producers, if you will, where it's all 100% live, and I'll have my drums queued up on one MPC with one shot. So I'll have my kick drum, my hi-hat, snare, and I'll play each of those sounds out at in the moment, and then also trigger samples on the other MPC that are more melodic, and I'll combine different, I guess you could call, chords of pads, so I can trigger up different harmonies within all the samples that I got. And so when I combine them all, it's just something that not a lot of people are doing. There are a few. I'll shout them out. Memorex is another dude who is doing the dual MPC, MPD controller stuff, and also Jeremy Ellis is doing dual machine stuff. So I strive to set myself apart from the pack, and I feel like those are some guys that are getting attention for that same sort of thing. It gets to a certain point where time just keeps on moving, and no one's really gonna make your career happen for you. And the sooner you realize that you have to do everything yourself or it's not gonna happen, the quicker you'll start to see things roll. So I think just getting shows has become a lot easier for me, and just figuring out ways to sort of probe at booking agents and speak their language, if you will. You just have to put yourself out there, and through the experience you just learn what works. So I've been getting better at that. Well, I'd like to think that I could start some sort of revolution in live controller stuff, and create a whole scene based upon just crazy in the moment. Like I would love to put together an analog orchestra of just like all analog synthesizers and drum machines and like a harp player. So I guess I want to go down in history as doing the tightest live hip hop electronic stuff that the world's ever seen, but I'm not even close. But that's a grandiose dream. So if you check me out on Bandcamp at bdurazzo.bandcamp.com, you can check out my first two albums, Beats Volume 1, which is a 16-track LP, and Beats Volume 1.5, which is an 8-track EP. You can just holler at me at any of my social media outlets, and if you want me to come play a show in your town, I will do it. So